Okay, I wanted to go through 3 basic types of lunges. There's multiple ways to do lunges, but most commonly I'm going to start somebody with a reverse lunge, and then we would progress to a forward lunge, which is for most people a little more challenging, and then learning lateral or side lunges is also a great option so that we're working all areas of the body, the side, the front, and the back, with all of those ranges of motion. So only moving forward and backward, we're definitely missing out on important strength development on the sides of the hips, insides of the thighs, core. So a typical reverse lunge, we're stepping back and forward. So on the front leg, this is the leg that I'm really working, and my goal is to have about a 90-degree angle on both legs. I want to keep my weight in the front heel, and then I'm on my toes in the back. And to get in and out of this position, not only do I engage my abs and keep good posture, but I'm really focusing on pushing through my heel to engage my glutes to bring myself out of this lunge. And notice that I'm not coming up and then forward, so that would look like this. So I see that a lot with people. Really, you want to just sink into the lunge and return to your starting position. So really drive through that front heel. Don't let that heel lift up. So you want to keep your weight through the heel, not only to protect your knee joint, but to engage your glutes more and not get too much pressure and force in the knees, and not only be using your thighs, your quads for this exercise. So a couple different things I was also doing there. You can either do all your lunges on one side repeatedly, whether you're doing a certain number of seconds, a timed exercise, or whether you're doing reps, and then switch to the other side to even it out, or your exercise might be listed as an alternating lunge. So this would be an alternating reverse lunge. So I'm alternating legs each time. So a couple different ways to do that. So again, I could progress that to a forward lunge, where I'm stepping forward and pushing back. And so notice again, I'm not doing that. I'm sinking into the lunge, pushing out of it. So standing up tall, I'm not leaning forward, I'm staying straight between my 2 legs. Got that 90-90. So back knee is driving down, it's not straightening. And I'm driving through the front heel to push myself back out of that lunge. So engage my core, push through the heel, use my glutes. Okay, and again, I can either do all one side and then switch, or I can alternate those legs. The lateral lunge is, again, a couple options. So it's a much, much wider stance. And this one, I do want your feet straight ahead. So most people's toes will want to point out a little bit. And that makes it easier because you're not using the sides of the glutes, like glute medius and max or minimus, as much. So be a real stickler with keeping your toes straight ahead of your heels. So we have to learn to weight shift and drive that heel or that hip back so that my hip and my knee and my ankle and my toes are all lined up. Okay, so I want to keep that alignment every time and not let those toes start sneaking out, not let the knees start wobbling in and out. So there's a lot more alignment that is less of a natural movement for people, so you have to really pay attention to that. So again, good posture, not leaning forward excessively, making sure that you've got all those joints lined up, and learning to drive your hips back and over. So I'm getting a big stretch up the inside of that other thigh, which is great for those tight muscles. And then I'm really strengthening all the inside and outside of the single leg. So one side is stretching, one side is strengthening. So it's definitely a different way to move than most people are used to. It takes a lot more practice. It's fine to start by, maybe you're holding onto an object and kind of able to lean, holding on to something, leaning back and weight shifting, learning what that feels like until you have the strength to do that without holding on. So that was a stationary lateral lunge. So my legs were just planted and I was moving my hips and my torso side to side. To increase that, as far as difficulty level goes, I can do a dynamic lunge. So I can step out and push back in. Okay, and again, I can either do all one side or I can go side to side. Okay, that's more difficult because every single time I'm moving, landing with those joints lined up, driving off, pushing again through that heel to come back in. So it's definitely more challenging, but important to learn all 3 lunges. assuming they're appropriate for your body, just to even out and balance the muscle strength in your body.